Hey, good morning, everybody. Got my new long sleeve Senlaw weather tee on. How about me? It's nice when you have the t-shirt printing equipment in the house and your wife does things for you. So looking at radar right now, we do see that we have some mixed precipitation out there, and we've been missing it here at my house so far, and that's okay. You know, I want to be right, but at the same time, I don't want chaos. And remember, I am doing this thing where I feature one of my sponsors every week, and this week I just picked him out of a hat, Southern Air Heating and Cooling and Plumbing. I actually didn't pick them out of a hat because I figured the heating would work with how cold it is. They have upfront pricing, financing available, same-day service, and you can call them at 318-202-8001. I love my little commercial reads. Isn't that fun? Okay, so looking at the weather, because that's what I do best. But man, do I love those sponsors and need them so much. We're going to start with analysis mode here, which means we're going to be looking at the radar, seeing what's happening. We're going to take a look at kind of what's been going on and what's happening. First off, we're looking at our radar out of Fort Johnson. I'm sorry, I'll never get used to it. And this is what we have. Some light mixed elements showing up here from Wynn Parish back through DeSoto, Red River, northern Natchitoches, northern Sabine, and then this other batch down here, this is moving into Beauregard, and it looks like everyone's below freezing. That cold air means business. 26 degrees at last check out at the airport. And with any precipitation developing, we are going to see things cool off even further. So we could be in the 23 to 25 degree range as this stuff falls. It's really light, but it does not take much to get some ice accumulation. What I wanted to do also, I'm going to pause this and take a look at any sort of storm reports. And when we see storm reports, a lot of times we think of severe weather. We actually do have some up around Shreveport, freezing rain, ice accumulating on vehicles at the NWS office. I know at the NWS office, they also had 0.4 inches of sleet and snow combined. So lots of nasty stuff. Do not head north. Also freezing rain reported at 1:15 a.m. west of Clarence. I know we had some freezing rain scoot through the Woodworth area over toward Marksville and was it DeVille? No, Colleen. And maybe DeVille. So these little patches here are developing. I'll get these out of here and pop up the alerts. Yes, we have winter storm warnings down close to our northern parishes, Wynn, Sabine, and Natchitoches. Not quite in there, but winter storm warnings just to the north of our area. Winter storm warnings out here around Austin, Texas. Winter weather advisories all the way down to the beaches in Louisiana here, Cameron Parish, Vermilion Parish. You are in these winter weather advisories, which is certainly a rarity. So let's take a look and see what's going on the forecast side of things. We'll take you out and take a peek at some models, and then I'll come back in, do a little more radar watching, and we'll answer some questions as well. All right, let's see. Going over to show prep. I'll just do this all on the fly because that's how we do it here. Oh, look at that. We warmed up to 27 degrees. It must feel nice out there now. 18 is your dew point, so that means we have some room to cool off. Temperatures, as precipitation falls, tends to cool toward that dew point, so we call that the wet bulb effect if you needed a little weather lesson right now. And that's what we have for today as we look out on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm proud of you guys. You're not out there. That's such good news. You don't need to be out there. I mean, right now it's okay if you have to make a quick run to the store or something like that, but we are going to see the radar light up here a little later on today. Temperatures from 25 to 31, so everyone, 32 in Oakdale, sorry about that. Everyone is at or below freezing, so anything that falls is going to be of that freezing or frozen variety. Winter weather advisories, we already kind of talked about this for most of our area. Winter storm warnings along I-20 where it is absolutely nasty, lots of road closures up that way. And for today, cloudy, patches of freezing rain, freezing drizzle, maybe some sleet, because we have cooled now to the point where we're in the mid to upper 20s. So we have that freezing layer below the very warm layer. And when I say very warm, I'm talking like 40s to near 50. So as it falls through this freezing layer that's a couple thousand feet deep, we could see some refreezing should we see some heavier activity and maybe a few sleet pellets out of this. But freezing rain is actually going to be more of a problem than the sleet. I've got my coffee. I know this is going to be a long one. 26 degrees, that's your future temperature at 10 a.m. Now I'm going to put things in motion while I take a sip. Yeah, it's going to stay cold. 31 in Lafayette at 3. Whew. 35 Baton Rouge, 53 in New Orleans. But look at this, overnight tonight, it even cools below freezing, and it's not close. New Orleans, Homa, 24 to 27, 18 degrees up here. So whatever falls is going to, stick. It's going to stay there. We're going to see that stick around overnight because it's going to get so cold. Anything that's liquid will refreeze, even on the surface streets at these temperatures. And then tomorrow, I do think things melt as we get up in the lower 20 or lower 30s. But that's because of the sun. When you get the sun beating down on that is going to happen. We're going to see things melt off a little bit. But then it could, if there's a little liquid, refreeze Tuesday evening. Now, I don't know about your parish's school policy. So I have no idea if things are going to get canceled. I know some have. I think Sabine and Grant. I don't want to say that, but I think I did see that. I don't know what the thought process is going to be going into that, but I think a lot of them are doing a wait and see, which I think is pretty smart, just to see kind of what happens over the next several hours today. Some thunderstorms way off to the east, but the severe outlook, this is pretty much going to be blank here for the next week, but things could change as we get beyond this. Yes, I'm always looking at the next thing. So Futurecast for today. This is the HRRR model. This is one of our more reliable high-resolution models. You can see that it's a patchy freezing rain event here as that slides on through the area, probably between about now and 8 p.m. That's your best chance to see precipitation. It's going to be patchy. It's going to be light, but looking at these morning runs, it looks like we're going to see about 0.05 to 1/10 of an inch. Some of those heavier extremes still getting up close to 0.2. I'm leaning away from that. It seems like we've been a little bit drier, especially with that dew point so low. It's going to probably evaporate some of this before it hits the ground. And then tomorrow we do clear out. We see some sun come out, and man, it's going to warm all the way up to almost freezing. How about that? But we could see 2 full days below freezing here, and that is not a common thing. The last time we saw that, I think, was the February of 2021 event when we had all the ice. I think we were 5 days below freezing, and that was a record. So road temps. This is a big deal. Up north, roads are covered. Shreveport to Monroe, there are lots of icy patches up there. But down here, we are around 33. This is your surface street temperature. But look what happens throughout the day today. Comes up, kind of waffles around, and then we get down to freezing. Again, this is not, I can't say this is an exact science, but it gives you a good idea of where the colder temperatures are going to be on the roadways. And there you go. Overnight tonight, everyone drops below freezing. And that's why we're kind of worried to see what happens. If we do get 1/10 of an inch of liquid, everything refreezes and we become a skating rink overnight tonight. But then tomorrow, with the sun coming out, even though it's only in the low 30s, that sun heats it up and we're in the 40s on the roads. Everything melts off and hopefully dries out. Now, I'm not done. After this, I'm going to take you for a little tour of the long range, and then we're going to go back to radar. So don't get out of here because I'm going to answer some questions if you have that as well. But pop my face off of here. 29 maybe for the high today. I put it at 32 on Tuesday, so that could put us below freezing for like roughly 60 hours. Look at that. We start off at 14 on Wednesday. We get up to 45, which is going to feel nice because it's been so cold. 58 on Thursday, maybe a few showers. I don't foresee any frozen issues there. Looks like we warm up enough. And then for the weekend, another good cold shot. And this one would be a big story if we had not just had to, or if we were not enduring what we are right now, because look at those lows in the low 20s for Saturday and Sunday morning. Now, I talked about this when I was on with Al and Trish this morning on KSYL, if you heard it, but we warm up. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook, so January 23rd to the 29th. So there is an end in sight to this very cold air, but look at this. Above normal precip and in a very, very big way. Looking at extended models already for next week, they're forecasting anywhere from like 2 to 5 inches of rain. We're going to fine tune that as we get closer, but big rain is possible for next week. So if you need the rain, if you hate the drought, well, we've got some coming for you. Let me go over and check out that radar once again, and then we'll talk about some some questions and things like that. There we go, Nick. You can find it. There we are. Okay, so radar, we'll pop it in motion. And actually, with this shallow of precipitation, it's always good to go and look at all the radars. We're going to start off up around Shreveport, and yeah, look at that. Still some light mixed precipitation, mostly sleet up around there. Some snow for El Dorado back through Texarkana, at least some light snow falling up there. I'll put it in motion, and you can kind of see that general activity, that general motion of the activity is toward the east or east-northeast. It doesn't just end down here. Sometimes you get too high on the radar beam because most of our precipitation is below like 8 to 10,000 feet. So it's really shallow. It's in that layer where we're near the surface. So the radar beam shoots out and shoots over top of it once we get beyond 8 or 10,000 feet. So we're going to take a look at all the radars and see where we're actually seeing some returns. And you can see that that does extend down toward Natchitoches. This is the Fort Johnson radar showing that we have light mixed precipitation developing and moving into Beauregard Parish. So if you are in Beauregard, you're in DeRitter, you're in even Rose Pine, you're down here around Evans, Burr Ferry, these areas, you could see some mixed precipitation happening now or very shortly. And it doesn't take much, again, with these temperatures so cold, that you could see some icy spots on bridges and overpasses. Lake Charles radar, that's where we switch back to liquid. We have the precipitation type thing turned on here, and you can see we have a little bulge of rain coming up, and that may end up nicking St. Landry Parish where it is below freezing. So we have a couple of processes that are helping create the precipitation, and we're going to see more of this throughout the day. But right now, at least at my house, it's dry. I don't see anything out there right here in Alexandria, but we do have some light mixed precipitation that's forming across the area, and I actually like to take a look at my Radar Scope app too. And if you do use Radar Scope, which, I don't know why I promote that app. I mean, I don't get paid for it. Use my app, use my radar. But the Senlaw weather app. I say my app. You don't just Google my app or Nick's app. But yeah, I'm looking at this and I can see that these elements moving into Beauregard Parish are very likely reaching the ground, and then Sabine Parish as well. All this stuff looks like it is starting to reach the ground, and we should see some filling in, if the models are correct, across the area a little later today, probably by, 9:19? Probably by noon or so, we'll see more of this filling in here. And then everything, until about 8 o'clock, it's going to be off and on spotty freezing rain, maybe some sleet, especially in the northern half of the area. Now I'm going to scoot on through the comments and see if I see anything I haven't answered here. Got a lot of watching. Yeah. You don't want to be going to Bossier today. Vernon Parish, you're going to see the same. Yeah, it's pretty much what I've been talking about for, this is pretty much area wide, 500ths to a tenth of an inch of freezing rain, could be a little sleet mixed in, and that is going to, with these temperatures being so cold, really, really make for some nasty bridges and overpasses, and then perhaps all the streets later on tonight. Any severe potential for next week? I would say low potential at this point. Nothing's jumping off the page at me, but I am certainly watching it. Lots of rain. Yeah, super cold and dry up in Trout. If the bridges freeze, will I be able to get across the river? What happens typically, from my experience, what I've seen is, if possible, they'll leave a lane open and put a bunch of sand down on that, and they try to keep that to where we can at least access the other side of the river. So that's what I would hope they would do. Hope they'd be able to do. Where the ducks at? I need some in my freezer. Yeah, no snow. That's the thing. With the setup we have, it's going to be warm aloft, so everything's going to melt. And actually, it might not even, I don't even think we get deep enough to where we're developing snowflakes and then they melt. This is all pretty much rain that refreezes, or it freezes when it hits the ground, and potentially, if we see sleet, refreezes before it hits the ground. Tower cam views? Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Sorry, I should have. Let's see that. Go back in here and... Good idea. Why not? We're all friends here. This is the Gina Tower cam right now, 250 feet up, looking toward I don't know which direction I'm looking at right there, but it looks really cool. Look at those rolling hills. Beautiful view. And then over to the Alexandria camera. This is what we have. And I do have the Alexandria one streaming on YouTube. I'm going to have to pull the Gina one back up. We had a little hiccup earlier this week with some moisture getting into the camera. But roadways looking good right now. People are moving along. One note I saw in the comments was that people were saying, yeah, there's rain here, freezing rain falling, and people are still driving at the same speed. That is not a high percentage move. You don't want to do that. Let's see. Do I think they will close Rapides Parish schools? I hate answering those questions because I don't want to. I don't want to screw up. I don't want to get hopes up. But I would think that if we see precipitation and if we see, you know, 0.05, tenth of an inch, and then we cool off the way we do tonight, it's not like anything's going to go anywhere. So that would make me think yes. Now, there is a world where there are spots where we don't see a lot of precipitation and we don't see a lot of roadway problems. That's what normal people should be rooting for, which I just want my forecast to be right, but then I don't want chaos. It's all weird, goes on in my head. But yeah, I would lean toward the potential of that happening being fairly decent, but I think the wait and see approach is the way to go, and we see by, you know, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock what we have going on, and then we'll see. Let's see, salt and sand trucks staging around Airbase Road, good. Oh, wow, the Monclaw Bridge in Avoyles, and these are just in the comments. I'm not saying anything's official here, but they say that's closed due to an accident in ice. Lake Charles, you should see a little bit of freezing precipitation later on tonight, I think into the late afternoon, evening. That's your best chance to see that. I don't think we see power outages. See, this is another thing. I'm glad that I'm glad that I read this. Power outages look like they are not likely. Typically, you need at least, I don't want to say at least, but I don't really start to think about power outages until we get about 1/4 of an inch of liquid equivalent. And in this case, I think we stay below that, and I think safely below that for most. But 1/10 of an inch, that could happen. We could see some of those limbs that were knocked loose, you know, in this very cold air with the wind gusting to 20, 25, and some ice load on those. We could see that fall onto a line, but I don't see like those images of the, you know, power lines sagging to the ground and snapping under their own weight and things like that. So it won't be widespread, but yeah, you can always see a power outage or two out of something like this. But looking at radar right now, we do have that light mix moving into Beauregard Parish, parts of Natchitoches and Sabine, and we will just watch this fill in throughout the day. I'm going to step away. I think I'm going to make a little breakfast. And I'm just going to keep watching radar, and I'll pop on again later on today and see what's going on. We'll just kind of talk about things because it's right here in the house, and I like to talk about weather. So thanks for tuning in. I will see you back here later. Tom and I are watching everything, and if we see anything worth talking about, we will most certainly let you know. See you later.